In the grand theatre of life, we have all been unwitting actors in a play we didn't write. The script was handed to us piece by our parents, our teachers, our society, each one adding their own lines to the performance we call our life. But what if I told you that everything you believe about personal growth, success, and fulfillment is based on a carefully constructed illusion? Society has sold us an incomplete story, a narrative so compelling, so deeply ingrained in our consciousness, that questioning it feels almost sacrilegious. This story tells us that youth is the pinnacle of existence, that success must follow a predetermined path, and that conformity is the price of acceptance. It's a story that keeps millions trapped in a cycle of endless striving, never quite reaching the promised land of fulfillment. The greatest deception isn't in the obvious lies, but in the half-truths we've been fed. We're told to chase success, but never taught to define it for ourselves. We're encouraged to grow, but only within carefully prescribed boundaries. We're promised freedom, but only if we follow the rules. This elaborate construct serves a purpose to keep us predictable, manageable, and most importantly, obedient. But here's what they don't tell you. The first 4 decades of your life are merely a rehearsal. Everything you've built, every achievement you've celebrated, every goal you've pursued, they're all part of a preliminary act. This isn't meant to diminish your experiences or invalidate your journey. Rather, it's to awaken you to a profound truth. What you've experienced so far is just the prelude to your real life. Think about it. How many of your current goals were truly born from your deepest desires? How many of your daily habits reflect your authentic self? How many of your relationships exist because they nurture your soul, rather than maintain your social status? These questions might make you uncomfortable, and they should. Discomfort is often the first sign that truth is beginning to crack through the facade of our constructed reality. There comes a moment in life, often around the age of 40. As Carl Jung observed, when the carefully constructed edifice of our existence begins to show cracks, it starts subtly a growing sense of dissatisfaction, a nagging feeling that something isn't quite right, a quiet but persistent voice asking, "Is this all there is?" This is not, as society would have you believe, the beginning of decline. Rather, it's the inception of the most profound transformation you'll ever experience. Jung called it the individuation process, the psychological equivalent of a butterfly breaking free from its chrysalis. But unlike the butterfly's transformation, which is governed by biological imperatives, this metamorphosis requires conscious choice and courage. The awakening point arrives differently for each person. For some, it's a sudden realization, a moment of clarity that strikes like lightning. For others, it's a gradual understanding, like dawn slowly breaking over a dark landscape. But regardless of how it comes, this awakening brings with it a fundamental challenge to everything you've believed about yourself and your place in the world. This is where the real work begins. The initial awakening is just the first step in a journey that will require you to question every aspect of your existence. Your relationships, your career, your beliefs, your values, everything must be examined under the harsh light of authenticity. Are these truly yours, or are they inherited? Do they serve your growth, or do they keep you confined? The most challenging aspect of this awakening is the realization that much of what you've achieved, what you've built, what you've become, may be based on a version of yourself that was never truly yours. This understanding can be devastating, but it's also liberating, because only when you recognize the nature of your cage can you begin to break free from it. When the awakening begins, you find yourself standing at the edge of what appears to be an abyss. Before you lies a choice that will define the rest of your existence. Do you retreat back into the familiar comfort of your constructed identity, or do you step forward into the unknown territory of authentic living? This is where most people falter. The void that lies beyond our familiar patterns and behaviors appears terrifying. It seems to promise only emptiness and isolation. But here's what Jung understood and what we must grasp. This void is not empty, it's pregnant with possibility. It's not an abyss of nothingness, but a space of infinite potential. The choice you face is not between stability and chaos, but between continued sleep and genuine awakening. It's between living a life that's safely predictable but fundamentally inauthentic, or risking everything for the chance to discover who you truly are. This choice presents itself not once, but repeatedly, in different forms and contexts throughout your journey. What makes this choice so difficult is that it often requires us to let go of things that seem essential to our existence. Relationships that no longer serve our growth, career paths that restrict our potential, beliefs that limit our understanding, all must be examined and, if necessary, released. This release isn't about rejection or abandonment. It's about creating space for what's authentic to emerge. The void you fear is actually your greatest ally. It's the blank canvas upon which you can finally paint your authentic life. But here's the catch. You must be willing to stand in this void, to resist the urge to fill it immediately with new certainties, new identities, new masks. You must learn to be comfortable with not knowing, with being undefined, with existing in the space between who you were and who you're becoming. As you begin to shed the layers of your false identity, a new phase of the journey emerges, the reconstruction of self. This is not about building another mask or adopting a new socially acceptable persona. It's about allowing your authentic self to emerge naturally, organically, from the fertile soil of your true nature. This reconstruction phase is perhaps the most delicate and demanding part of the journey. It requires enormous patience, unwavering honesty, and the courage to resist the temptation to rush back into familiar patterns. Every aspect of your life must be reassessed and rebuilt from the ground up, but this time with conscious awareness and intentional choice. The process begins with simple questions that demand complex answers. What truly brings me joy, independent of external validation? What values do I hold, not because I was taught them, but because they resonate with my deepest truth? What kind of relationships do I want to cultivate, not for social status or security, but for genuine connection and growth? This reconstruction isn't about rejecting everything from your past. Some elements of your previous life may still serve your authentic self. The key is discernment, the ability to distinguish between what truly belongs to you and what was merely borrowed or imposed. This requires developing a deep sensitivity to your own inner truth, learning to recognize the subtle difference between societal expectations and genuine personal desires. During this phase, you'll likely experience periods of profound loneliness. The path of authentic living often separates us from those who remain committed to their socially constructed identities. This solitude, though challenging, is necessary. It creates the space needed for your authentic self to emerge and strengthen without the distorting influence of others' expectations. The final truth about awakening is that it's never truly final. The journey of individuation, of becoming who you really are, is not a destination but a continuous process of evolution. Each new level of awareness brings its own challenges, its own opportunities for growth, its own demands for courage and authenticity. This ongoing nature of the journey can seem daunting, but it's actually a source of profound freedom. When you understand that there is no fixed endpoint, no perfect state to achieve, you're liberated from the pressure of trying to arrive. Instead, you can focus on the process itself, on the moment-to-moment choice to live authentically. The rewards of this journey are not what society typically celebrates. You won't necessarily achieve greater external success, accumulate more wealth, or gain more social status. What you will gain is something far more valuable, a sense of genuine alignment with your true nature, a deep inner peace that comes from living authentically, and the quiet joy of being fully yourself. Your relationships will transform. Those based on superficial connections or mutual pretense will naturally fall away, replaced by deeper, more meaningful bonds with others who are also committed to authentic living. Your work will change, either in its nature or in your relationship to it. Your understanding of success will shift from external achievements to internal alignment. As you continue on this path, you'll discover that awakening is not just a personal journey, it's a contribution.